Hey there, Tracy here. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are hopping along Trinity Stamps and Pear Blossom Press, and we'll be making light up cards, so I hope you can stop by each hop along the way. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here's all my goodies. Today I'll be using the Snowman from the new Trinity Stamps release, and I'll be using the coordinating dies. I'll be using the Halo Lights from Pear Blossom Press, and this is a heck of a bargain right here, and I'll be using the Pear Blossom Press Stampin' Dies. And I'll be using some pattern paper from my stash, and some silvery paper, and some dies, just some regular round circly dies. What we're going to be doing today is creating a snow globe the right size to fit the halo light. So that's what you'll be looking for in your dies, is just match up your dies with the inner portion and a little outside of the outer portion. And I'll be using the world's best foam tape and some regular double-sided tape. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp out my little characters, and then I'll cut them out and color them. So just to let you know, this is a hop, and Trinity Stamps and Pear Blossom Press are giving away $25 gift cards to their shops. So all you need to do on this video is leave a comment, and we'll need you to do that before October 16th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. And winners will be announced on the Pear Blossom Press and Trinity Stamps Instagram accounts on the 18th. So I'll have a link to my Instagram below, because there's also an Instagram hop, so you have lots of chances to win, and good luck to you. Some really cool stuff coming out of both Trinity Stamps and Pear Blossom Press, so you want to get those freebies if you can. So I'm just doing super simple coloring on these. I don't need them to be horribly intense because they're really, really small images. And I'm using primarily pinks and blues today. And we'll just go ahead and get him finished colored out. And I'm going to make him a little bit on the blue side. So this is kind of a blue-gray. And it looks it's wet, so it looks a little darker than it's going to be when it dries. But there it is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my embossing pen. And I'm going to add some snow with some of that cottontail embossing powder, because what happens is when you emboss it, it kind of puffs up. So it'll kind of resemble snow, because we are making a snow globe. There has to be snow somewhere, right? Other than the man. So I'm just kind of selectively adding the embossing pen and then adding the embossing powder. And then I'll go ahead and do the snow person. I guess it's a guy. I don't know. It could be no, it's definitely a guy. He's got a beard, although I have a little bit of a beard too. You just can't see it. Nothing like that though. I guess that could be my husband. So I'm just kind of adding snow where it would kind of stick to him if the snow were falling. Sorry about that, guys. Got carried away. And then I'll go ahead and heat emboss that. And because I only have one snow globe die, and it's too big for this purpose, this is why we'll create our own, and it's pretty easy. And what I found that I love about it is that halo light. You know, if you have the right dies, you can make any standalone to glue onto anything. So I've got these two silvery sparkly pieces of paper here, and they're kind of holographic, and one is kind of a not holographic and one is. So the background piece will be the holographic piece, and then the frontmost piece will be the non-holographic. And all I'm going to do is take my two dies, and I'm going to actually cut out two of these circles, and you'll see why later. So I've got, here are my main pieces, and I've got the acetate that I cut out of the same larger circle. And then I've got my little tree here that I need to fit in there. And some of it's going to stick out, and I don't want it to be underneath the halo light. So I'm going to take just my pencil. I'm going to put the tree where I want it. Kind of just auditioning where things are going to go here. place the tree where I want it, and then I'll just draw a line where I need to cut that off so that it fits perfectly within the inner portion of that circle where our shaker bits are going to be. So this is a double interactive card. I hope you enjoy that. I love making shaker cards, and I also like, you know, kind of creating on the fly. So I've got my tree in the shape that I need it, because the tree's going to go obviously on the inside, right? And I like the way that's going to look. So I've got some tape here on my, on some double-sided tape on the back side of my flat silver. I'm just going to call it flat versus holographic, I guess. my silver glitter piece. And I'll just go ahead and pull that tape off, and then I'll add some glue as well, because I want to make sure that I can kind of move that acetate piece around and not get it on there too crooked. So I'm going light with the glue, but that red line tape, or that red baloney tape as Tim Holtz likes to call it, once you stick something to it, it's never coming off, at least not in my experience. So I'm just kind of pressing that down, and I'm smooshing towards the outside just to, you know, make sure that if any glue oozes, it'll ooze on the outside, and then I'll wipe off that extra. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my halo light. So the halo lights come in this package of 2, and you also get all these 1 lights with it. So that's such a bargain, and all the batteries you're going to need. So all you do is just bend it to snap it off, and then you bend the little 1 lights out, set them aside, put everything back in the bag so you don't lose it. Don't do me, do you. And then these little excess pieces, all you need to do is just bend them and they'll break off. And then that's got the little lights all the way around it. So you can see that my circle piece is going to cover that and then some. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. So now what I want to do is I want to add some foam tape. So I'm going to use the World's Best Foam Tape, and I'm just kind of eyeball measuring. If I have excess, that's fine. It won't go to waste. And I'm going to cut my foam tape down, and here's how I like to do it, in case you haven't seen me do this before. I like to lay it on my cutting mat, and then I like to pull the backer off, and the reason for that is so my ruler doesn't slippy slide around, and I stick my ruler to it. So that's the other beauty of this World's Best Foam Tape, is your ruler's going to come right back off. And then I'll just use my little finger blade knife to cut it. You use what you have. You can cut it with scissors too if you want to. I don't mind. So now I've got 2 thinner strips, and I'm going to just fit them all the way around the halo lights, being careful not to cover the actual lights. If anything's sticking out the sides, I'll trim it off, not a big deal. So I've got 1 portion on, and this is a shaker, so I want to make sure that everything is flush with each other so that I don't lose any of my little shaker bits. And then I'll just trim off that excess, make sure it's bent around to the correct position. There we go. And then I'll set that little piece aside because I'll be using it here again in a minute. And then I do have some hanging out a little bit farther than I care for. It doesn't matter if a little bit hangs over, because your little outer piece is wider. So there's our outer piece, and that looks like it's going to fit on there perfectly without anything more sticking out. You can trim more if you want. And I added a little bit of glue and some double-sided tape onto there, and then I'm just sticking that down. And that piece is almost ready to go. So here's our backer piece. And what I want to do now is I'm going to add my tree. And then I'll add my shaker bits. Lost my train of thought. So once again, a reminder, this is a YouTube and Instagram hop. So make sure you follow along the hop, and I will have all the links listed down below. So I know where I want my tree. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to lay this, I'm going to glue my tree down, but first I'm going to make sure that my tree is going to fit properly. And then Yeah, I got stuff moving around on me. So if that happens to you, just grab a piece of removable tape. So that was what I cut the second piece for, was kind of like a template, just to make sure everything nice and straight in there. If you trust yourself, you don't need to do that. I don't. But this way I can glue my tree in and know that it's in the right position. So I'm just going to use some liquid glue here to glue the tree in. Okay. And just make sure it's nice and stuck down, and then I can pull my template off and continue on with what I'm doing here. All right, good deal. So now I've got this piece here, and what am I going to do to make sure that my tree's on there nice and straight? Well, first of all, I'm going to add some anti-static powder in here, just so I don't forget, because that's something I would typically forget, and those little balls love to stick to that acetate. So I'm going to lay my tree down, and I'm going to eyeball measure it where it needs to be, and then I'm going to grab the whole unit here and pick it up, flip it over, and take my pencil and make a mark at the two sides of the bottom, so that when I glue this down, I glue it to the right spot. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my double-sided tape. Yeah, here we go. I've got this really skinny 1/8 inch double-sided tape. I'm going to add that all the way around, just the circle part. And so I've got that added down, and just making sure that I'm completely covered here. And then I'll pull off the backer. And of course, that red line tape is sometimes hard to pull off with the tweezers. It likes to slip out of the tips of those tweezers. Then I'm going to add some liquid glue, so I have some wiggle room. And then here's my backer piece, so that's going to lay down right there. But before I do that, I need to add my shaker bit. So I've just mixed several different little shaker goodies from my stash. And then I'll go ahead and add this down, and pretty much the hard part is done. But you can see once I flip this over that we still need to cover our mechanism that turns the light on. And I'm going to show you how I do that today. And what I'm going to do is I'm making a custom snow globe, because again, I said I don't have a teeny tiny one. You might have one, who knows? I don't know. So what I have here is I have a piece of craft cardstock, and this is about 2 inches by about 1 1/4. I'm going to take the larger circle. I'm going to take the circle template that I made, and then I just saved this for later use. And I'm going to lay it down on here, and I'm going to trace a line along the outside edge right there. And I imagine this is how we made cards before we had dies. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut along that line. And we could leave it right here, but I want to fancify it a little. And you could fancify it a lot if you wanted to. Is that a word? Well, it's a word today. So now I've got my piece that will fit, cover my light apparatus, my switch, so to speak, and work perfectly. But as I said, I want to fancify this up, so I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to measure in from the top side about 1/8 of an inch. And then I'll draw a line from that 1/8 inch mark down to the corner, so that I can give this a little bit of a better shape. You'll see me draw that one twice because I didn't draw the first one correctly. I missed it by a little bit, so let's fix that. And this is a pencil, so we can erase it. And I'm just going to take my scissors and cut that off at the proper line, erase my pencil marks, and then I'll take my little corner rounder and just round the corners down at the bottom so it looks more like a snow globe stand. And I'm going to use the smallest, which I think is the 4mm, to clip that off. All right, that's ready to go. So you see now we've got a whole unit. So we'll go ahead and install our battery. And let me get the battery out of the package here. And this is going to be magical because I've struggled with it. So I just magically popped it right out. And let me zoom in. So you want to make sure the plus side is up on the battery and the little housing. And then just check to make sure it lights up. And it does. So next thing that's going to go on is this little piece here, but I'm going to need to add a little support, and I want to put my push. So I'm just doing a very light pencil mark where I want to stamp push, and I'll stamp that with the Pear Blossom Press stamps and some blue ink to kind of just match with the whole scheme here. And we've got our push in the right spot, so all we need to do is attach that. And I will go ahead and put together the background now, the mats and layers here. So I've got this beautiful blue snow on some pink cardstock. And then I've got a light blue cardstock, and I'm going to put this beautiful pink bouquet paper as kind of a secondary or a primary mat, and then this little smaller piece will be my secondary mat. And that is, the smallest piece is, I want to say it's 3.5 by 4 3/4. So I'm adding a little bit of extra piece of paper, and then I'm gluing this down to where I want it. And then I'll add my extra piece. I'm going to take that little extra piece of foam tape that I had and just kind of support it right around the button. And then I'll add some glue right along here, and then just push that in. And then add my snowman, and this card basically is done. So I know it was a little bit longer of a video for a hop, and I apologize for that, but sometimes putting together lights just takes that time. But I do thank you, and here's my finished card. Here's how it lights up. So we've got a little snowman snow globe with our Trinity Stamps Snowmen stamp and die, coordinating die, and our Pear Blossom Press halo light, and a little sentiment from our gnome to yours, and winter greetings, and I added some little blue pearls. So here's what it looks like. Thanks so much. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Take care. Bye-bye.